As we welcome you back to Newsmax Prime, we again note tonight is opening night of the Republican presidential debates. With the campaign cycle a bit more contentious this time around, I asked Governor Scott Walker in my exclusive interview if he thought Ronald Reagan's 11th commandment of Republicans not speaking ill of one another had gone out the window.
Well, certainly not from my point of view. People ask me all the time about other candidates. One week it's this one, next week it's that one. I just keep saying that person can speak for themselves. I'm going to tell you what I'm for and how I match up against Hillary Clinton. You know, we have a contrast out there, but I don't go after people by name. As you can imagine, there are a lot of media outlets out there. You've known that over the years as well, having dealt with them on the elected side as I do, that a lot of folks in the media say they dislike the fighting in Washington, but they want it to happen. They encourage it, particularly Republican on Republican. What you're going to hear from us is talking about what we're for and what makes us unique and how I'm the best candidate to take on Hillary Clinton, not what's bad with the others.
Jeb Bush seems to be the establishment favorite. Where do you two differ, you believe, in terms of your approach to the issues?
Well, I think on the most part, the biggest difference between the two of us, and Jeb's a friend of mine, I like Jeb and have looked at his record in Florida in the past with great admiration, and that is, I think if we're going to beat a name from the past in Hillary Clinton, we need a name from the future. That's the biggest difference. I don't see that you beat a name from the past with another name from the past. I think you need a new, fresh face from outside of Washington with a proven track record, and I think that's what makes me unique, not just to Governor Bush, but anybody else in this field.
Jeb Bush has said he would not reverse President Obama's executive order for 5 million illegals to get work permits. Would you reverse that order?
To me, it's part of what we've said in terms of the actions this president took just a couple weeks after the election. I and 25 other governors went to court to say that the actions he did, he said himself, President Obama said, were not legal. Then he went and he did them anyway. No man or woman is above the law, and we need to go back to enforcing the laws as it is fit.
Taking a look at the latest polling, your reaction to the latest numbers?
I think most candidates would love to have being in the front of the pack just 2 weeks into officially becoming a candidate. I think in the end, when people see not only in Iowa, but in New Hampshire, in South Carolina, in Nevada, in places all across this great country, when people see that if you want someone who can fight and win, I hear a lot of frustration, as you probably do as well, from Republican voters who say, just American voters who say, hey, we elected a Republican House, we elected a Republican Senate just this last year, but where's the bill to defund Planned Parenthood? Where is the legislation to repeal Obamacare? Where is the fight against Obama's actions on illegal immigration that go beyond his legal authority? Those are things we've fought and won over in my state, and we can take on those battles there. We can do it in Washington. If people want someone who can fight and win, I think the more we get our story out, the better we're going to be.
Turning the tables, although I understand presidential candidates are loath to talk about the number 2 spot with regard to their situation, is there any scenario, if Donald Trump runs the table and becomes the Republican nominee, would you be willing to serve as vice president?
Oh, 2 weeks in, I think I've got to focus not on VPs or anything else. I've got to be focused on earning the votes of people in Iowa, in New Hampshire, in South Carolina, in Nevada, in North Carolina, Missouri, where we're at today, Illinois, elsewhere across the country. I think we've got an excellent shot of winning the caucuses and primaries everywhere. There's not a state we're drawing off the list. You know, sometimes people say, candidate can do well here, but not there. I don't think there's a state in America where we can't do well in the early caucus and primary process, and so we're going to spend our time focused on that.
Personal glimpse. When did you decide that you could and should run to be the next president of the United States?
Well, for Tonette and I, we spent a lot of time after last fall's election, going into the holidays around Christmas, where we spent a lot of time not just talking and thinking with others, but really praying as a family as to whether or not this was a calling. Because I think the closer one gets to this, the more you realize you have to be a little crazy if you just want to be president. Instead of wanting to be president, I think if someone's serious about this, they have to feel like it's a calling. After a lot of prayer, we felt like it was a calling for us. It's still up to God and ultimately the American people to decide if they're going to elect us to. So I can't say I've been called to be the president, I've just been called to run for it. But that's how we make decisions. And for us, I'm an optimist. For Tonette and I, we look at The challenges our state faced, and for our sons, Matt and Alex, we took the risk to run for governor because we wanted it to be better for our children and their generation. I'm an optimist. I believe it's not too late for America. I believe with the right leadership in Washington, we can make this country better for Matt and Alex, my two boys, and all the other sons and daughters like them. And that's what I want. I want them to inherit a country even greater than the one we inherited from our parents and grandparents. I've spent the time the last 6 or 7 months not preparing for debates, but preparing to be the President of the United States.
And now a couple of programming notes. We will have more of that exclusive interview with Governor Scott Walker tomorrow night right here on Newsmax Prime. And we've also produced a 30-minute Newsmax Prime special for you to watch. It's called A Conversation with Scott Walker. It premieres next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon, right here on Newsmax TV.